So you just simply go to the plugin, and it's always good to read through the description. For some of them you need to download some additional software, like this one you need to download a couple of other engines to make it work, and you just hit download and it will download on your system. Basically it is super easy to install anything in Grasshopper. You just need to drag it and drop it in here in your canvas and it will install for you. And the other way to do it is just to come to file, go to special folder and go to components folder, and you can install any other plugins here, right here. Just copy and paste it in here, whatever is inside the folder of the file that you just downloaded, just paste it in here. Okay, let's get to some basic things of Grasshopper. So there are a couple of components that you need to know. This one is number slider. Just double click and put number slider, type number slider in there. It should show up and you can see it is right here. You can either do it that way or just double click, put the number that you want and do it like this, then it will give you a range of numbers. So I will have a number slider that works between 1 and 100 right now. You can also right click on it and edit it. So if this is not the range that I want, I can change the minimum and maximum of it as well as the integer, or make it change the decimals over here. And another component that is handy is series. For instance, you want to make 100 columns. You can easily do it with series. You just need to define a series, and whenever you hover over anything, either the inputs or outputs, it will give you some description about it. So if you are not sure what you need to fit in this component, just hover over it with your mouse and it will tell you what you need to fit into that component. And you just need to get over here and left click on it and hold your left click and connect it to the other component. And here we have range. Range and series work in the same manner, but they are working a little different. And we have point, one of the simple basic stuff that you can make in there. So whenever you want to make something, just double click and type construct. So it will show you that component, so you can start constructing point. You need X, Y, and Z to construct any point, obviously. Another useful component that you need to know about is panel. If you double click and type panel, you can get this panel from here, and also you can double click and use this to get a panel. But what's the function of a panel? So you can connect basically almost anything to panel and it will give you a report of that function. So if I connect a range, it will show me this guy. If I connect the domain, you can see it will give you the report of that component. Another useful thing is expressions. You might need mathematical expression in your design, so whenever you want it, you can just get it from the math. Over here you have expression, and also one other thing that might be helpful for you, sometimes you need to input more than one component somewhere. Let's say we want to use this cross-reference component, but we need to cross-reference more than two lists. So if you zoom in, you can see you can add more input or deduct inputs. Okay, let's get into the function of series and range. So here you can see we made a range that starts from 0, and each step is 3 and the counts are 5. So the outcome is 5 numbers, and the space between the step are 3. So we got that one. But in the range, we just had to make a domain for it to make it work. And you can see if I hover over it, it says it needs a domain. So I made a domain between 0 and 6.5. Let's actually make it 6. Okay, and I want my step to be 6 in this case. So I made 7 actual 7 numbers here, and the space between them are 1 in this case. So if I change my steps, you can see I got the same kind of numbers. I wanted 4, I got 4, and the difference between these two is in the series I can define the space between each level. So each number is 3 points away from the other point. But in this case, I just can say I need 5 output, and it starts from somewhere. It will calculate the distance between each number by itself. So I do not have any say in that. So cross-reference. Now I want these two different lists to make a grid of points. Let me actually minimize this thing so you can see it better. Okay. With middle mouse button, you can either activate a preview or hide it. So okay, so I wanted to cross-reference these two lists and get an output. Let me show you the output from A and show the output from the other list as well, so you understand better what's going on in there. So what is happening here is I cross-reference these two lists. So first component is cross-referenced with each of the components in this list, and this story happens for every component in this list. So I got total of 24 components, total of 25 I mean. So you see I have 5 numbers in this list and 5 in this list, and the total is, in total I should have 25 numbers, which I have right here. It always starts from 0 in Grasshopper. So I made a set of points in here. I used the cross-reference list from A output for X, and I used this list to make Y's, and I constructed sets of points in here. You can see I have 5 by 5 points grid here. Now if I double click and type a sphere here, basically this is the same thing. I just activated the name part from here, so that's why it's kind of different. If I make it look like this and go back, it should be the same almost. And I use this, so it will make a spheres right around each point that I made in my grid. And I need a radius for my spheres, so I used another number slider there. Maybe I just want to zoom in. Okay, so I think this is kind of clear. Now let's move on. So this is kind of not important. Let's move into graph and range. So same story here. So we wanted to make a series of numbers here. So we started at 0, the steps are 3.5, and we wanted 10 numbers in there. So I wanted to have the same x and y. So the outcome is like this. What would happen if I right click on the y and use graph? You can see now I have a grid of points instead of a line of points. What actually happened in there is I told Grasshopper to cross-reference each x with each y, and so it made a sets of numbers, sets of points. So in this case, in this first scenario that you are seeing right now, so it cross-referenced one x with one y. This is x2 with y2. This is x3 with y3. But in this scenario, if I activate graph, so it cross-references xy with all of the x1 with all of the y's that we have in here. So this one is x1 y1, this is x1 y2, this is x1 y3, and so on. That is why you can see we have a grid right now. So let's try something else. Actually, I'll make that one. Okay. Now we want to make seven points from this series in x direction, and with this one we made 7 points in y direction. As you can see, we only used x and y zeros for this one, so this one made just x points, a series of points along the x-axis, and this point we made a series of points along y-axis. Now if I cross-reference these two lists and use a line component here to create line component, Grasshopper will understand that I want to cross-reference each x with correspondent y's in this list, so it will connect x1 to y1 and so on. So since I started from the 0 0, then this point will be x1, this is x2, x3, and so on this axis, and this will be y1, y2. But what will happen if I reverse my list? You can see now I reversed every components that I can get from this list, and Grasshopper think this is x1, this is x2, x3, so it will connect x1 with y1, x2 with y2. These are the things that you might need later in your work, so you do not have any idea where is the start of your line, and you just get out of a weird kind of shape, and you do not expect that you can simply fix it with the reverse or graph or anything like that.